We are live. Alan, stand by for audio. All right. Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show. So today, actually this evening, my time, and we'll say in the morning as my guest co-host time, we are recording overseas again. This time it's not over the pond, as we were saying with the UK. This time we're back in Australia. So this gentleman, we're going to have some fun today, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be more of a business-themed podcast, okay? This guy might know a few things about marketing. We might even talk a little bit about sales, but we like to have fun on this show. And he's not just a marketing guy, okay? He's actually apparently an author. He might know a few things. I'm trying to figure that out. So we've talked about that as well, but he's a globally recognized marketing expert. And as I hinted with the author, he's a best-selling author. And he's made it his life's work to provide a framework for marketing small businesses. And we all know how hard it is for the small businesses out there to succeed. So I love bringing that fuel to the fire for you guys. But he's proof that you don't need a degree from a fancy university to become a highly successful entrepreneur and sought after business coach. And you simply need to know how to consistently market your business better than your competitors. And I'll share a quote later in the show because he provided a great one that I also believe in. But without further ado, Allan Dib, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, Scott, pleasure to be on the show.
So we were just joking around. You are dialing in at, you said 10 a.m. your time?
Yeah, it's just almost 10:30 here.
There we go. Coming up on 10:30 a.m. and I'm East Coast time here, U.S., so it's almost 6:30 my time. So,
and I'm from the future as well. It's
yes.
Tuesday here. So
yes, there we go. We are literally speaking into the future. I love it. And actually, so I don't want to hold this one back. I love the. Maybe you actually know. Do you know which quote that she shared on your application?
No, I don't. I'm afraid.
Okay, you'll notice as soon as I say it. So, you are not in the business of what you do. You are in the business of marketing what you do.
Exactly.
Loved. Exactly. I had to share that before we got any deeper in the show. You couldn't have put it any simpler. So, let's just dig in, man. Why do you care about marketing and helping small businesses succeed so much?
Look, to me, it's kind of, I speak to audiences all over the world, and, sometimes I ask a question, what do you think the business failure rate is? And some people say 50%, 60%, some people say 90%. I don't know what the actual figure is, but no one's ever said anything less than 50%, right?
I would agree.
And and I think that's just insane that we all just accept that 50 to 90% of businesses are just going to fail, and we just simply accept that. And to me, I don't accept that. I think we can make a positive influence on that figure, reduce the failure rate, increase the success rate, and to me, dialing into the marketing aspect is the thing that can move the needle most. There's many aspects of business we could concentrate on, but to me, marketing, getting leads and customers into your business is the thing that can move the needle most to positively affect that figure.
Well, which is great too, because somebody who's come from the sales and marketing world too, I love it because when companies want to trim the budget, where do they trim it from?
Yeah,
the marketing budget. It's like
exactly.
You're just shooting yourselves in the foot.
Exactly. I mean, and if 50 to 90% of cars ended up in fatal crashes, I mean, there'd be riots in the streets, right? People wouldn't accept that, but we accept that for businesses.
It does drive me a little bonkers once in a while. I'll use that word. I do get passionate about this. I could tell you do too. I mean, the small businesses, this is what, at least here in the US, this is what builds and sustains the economy. It's not the multi-billion, multi-million-dollar corporations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually the small businesses, and this has been proven time and time again, but people seem to forget this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, small business is the backbone of the economy, and it's just tragic. I just can't believe that this is something that is generally accepted, that the school system is kind of rigged against entrepreneurs, and that's something I want to change, and that's something that I know you want to change as well.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that one up, Allan. Because I'm like yourself. The way I grew up, I was a farm kid. And then I had the opportunity, at least in our schools, I'm interested to do the comparison here from the US to Australia, but I don't think we ever talked about this. when I was in high school, you had the choice of studying, we called it back then, college preparatory courses to prepare you for the university.
Yeah.
Or sophomore, junior, and senior year, your last 3 years of high school here, you could then also instead go and study at a vocational school or a technical college.
Yep.
So I did that. I studied microelectronics technology. I used to be able to, literally, I would solder chips into circuit boards and tear computers apart and all kinds of techie stuff. So I learned that in high school. And people were like, I say that nowadays, and people are blown away by that. Like, you learned about that kind of technology in high school? And I said, yeah, but back then, I didn't think it was that cool and exciting. But I did not take any college prep courses because I didn't think I was going to go to college or university. Yep. And then I guess I got cross-pollinated with people. I was working my way through high school, and I had to work my way through college. And but I saw other friends of mine from other schools preparing to go to school, and I thought, well, maybe I can go to the university because maybe I'll be the first one in my family to do so. And all those thoughts started popping in my head. So when you go back that far, like, did you have those types of thoughts?
Yeah. Look. To me, I mean, school and what school prepares you for and entrepreneurship are two completely different things. I mean, school prepares you for becoming an employee, essentially.
To be a great employee.
Be a great employee. Sit down, be quiet, follow the rules, do what you're told, do your homework, come back the next day, do it all again, and look, it's understandable. I mean, for the vast majority of probably the last century, most people were employees. But now, in the last probably decade or two, I mean, the technology has just enabled people to become entrepreneurs with a laptop, with an iPad even. So it's just incredible what's available now. But the school system has not evolved to supply those needs. So it's just, it's rigging people for failure. So they're teaching kind of the marketing and business stuff that you would need to know working as a marketer or something in a large company, working in a marketing department, working for someone. But, they'll spend 4 or 5 years teaching a chiropractor how to whack and crack backs, and they won't spend a single class teaching him how to get a client, So,
or to even build a sustainable business, right?
Yeah.
Like even if he does start luck out, he or she starts landing clients. They don't know anything about accounting. Like, I can't tell you how many medical experts I know they're the perfect example of just somebody who went to school. They're passionate about maybe healing people and getting people healthy, because we geek out about health on this show.
Yeah.
And then nobody taught them, oh, thank you for caring so much about health, wellness, fitness, whatever it may be. Here's the tools to the success bin. Here's your keys, to the castle, so to speak. And now you can build a sustainable business with that too.
Yeah. And just the way things are structured. I mean, right now I'm expanding my team, so I'm hiring people who are experts at things that I have no idea about. So in business, the way you succeed is you hire people that are smarter than you. You hire people who are specialized in a particular role, and they manage that part of the business. In school, if you say, hey, I'm really good at math, so I'll do the math test. You're really good at literature, so you do the literature test, and we'll team up and we'll work together. That's called cheating, right?
Yeah, right.
Whereas in
and
business,
we all had that. I mean, unless you're borderline genius, I believe we all had that. I think when I was in high school, I excelled in mathematics, hated English. Then I went to the university years later, and all of a sudden sucked at math and loved English. It was just amazing. My brain just shifted. I can't explain it. But to your point, with what I know now, I would have just outsourced my weaknesses and focused on my strengths.
Yes. In school, that's called cheating. So you're not allowed to outsource your weaknesses. You've got to know it all. So.
Well, I love where we're going with this, because your brand, I love your brand, by the way. And actually, you know what? For our video watchers on the YouTube, let's do a little screen sharing. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow this gentleman, all you got to do is search for SuccessWise, or successwise.com is the domain. But I love the fact that you threw in the word wise. I mean, we're talking about education right now. We can kind of tie this to wisdom. I got to ask you, because I'm a marketing guy, was that some of the underlying principles that went into you creating that simple branding?
Yeah, look, I started this business with the idea that I wanted SuccessWise to be essentially a repository for success education and success being beyond business. Right now, we're very business focused and we're very marketing focused, but I can see that expanding down the track. I believe in fully dominating a particular niche before moving on to another. So we're still nowhere near done with marketing and business, so working on that. But very much I wanted it to be around the concept of success education and conveying that very clearly and succinctly.
Now, is that what drove the book?
That's very much what drove the book. In fact, the book, you find, they say necessity is the mother of invention, right? And to me, that's very much the case with the book. So for me, the book was all, I'm not really an author or anything like that.
I didn't quoted that because I do the same thing.
I didn't one day sit and dream up, okay, what should I write in a book or whatever. It really came from a need that my clients had. So I was coaching clients and I was trying to get them to write a marketing plan because, let's plan out what we're going to do. And I found it was very, very difficult. Very few clients did it. They felt it was too difficult, too expensive, too onerous. And so I created a process called the one-page marketing plan. It was a process before it was ever a book.
Sure.
And the compliance rate shot right up. So, I made an easy framework based on direct response marketing that they could fill in 15, 20, 30 minutes. And it just got a lot of traction. And even outside of my client base, when I would speak, I would present the one-page marketing plan concept. And again, more than anything I would speak at, it got the most traction. So I wanted to get it out to a wider audience, and that's exactly what I did with the book. So the book really came from a market-driven need rather than me kind of dreaming something up to write about one day.
Well, what I love here is you clarified it started as a process. So
yes.
You don't know something is going to be successful until you at least start implementing it and evaluating it as a process. Exactly. And then obviously getting client feedback and you're testing it in the market. And if it's got a great, as you pointed out, a take rate, because obviously per the name of the book, one-page marketing plan, if you can simplify it down to one page, I think you're going to increase people's completion rates.
Exactly.
Because most people, look, what is the average? Oh, let me challenge you with something here. What is the average business plan? How many pages does a business plan, on average, I see? Most people never sit down and actually create a business plan, let alone a marketing plan.
Yeah, exactly. And I can give you my personal experience with that. In my first business, I wasn't very smart, but I was smart enough to know that I probably needed to put together a business plan. And so I hired a guy who helped me, and he helped me make an awesome business plan. It had charts and graphs and projections and financials and everything. It was probably 75, 80 pages long. And
ooh, that's a long one.
It was a long one.
Got me beat.
And guess what happened with it? It got shoved in the top drawer of my desk, never to see the light of day again until we moved offices and I was throwing out all the trash. So
I was hoping you were going to say that. Because I don't want to say a business plan isn't necessary. There is a lot of value that you get out of going through the process. There is. I'm like you. When I just had a newer client I was coaching a few weeks ago, and I asked them to do, instead of a one-page marketing plan, I had them do something as simple as a creative brief. And they're like, what's a creative brief? And I said, you're looking to launch a brand. And who do you expect? How do you expect the web designer to follow the same protocols as your graphics team, your social media? You don't have these teams yet, but obviously if you build a successful business, all of that is tied together. Yes. And they had no clue. They just like, well, when can I create a logo? I'm like, you are nowhere ready for a logo. What is the logo going to tie to? What is your mission? Whether you want a mission statement or not, but you see where I'm going with all this.
I do.
I figured you'd appreciate that because people are like, creative brief, what's that? I said, oh.
And in fact, it's funny, we've been going through that process right now. We're working on a slight rebrand and getting all of our visuals much more unified. So I've been going through that process over the last few weeks.
I'm doing the same. And there's another reason why you have that is you go back to it.
Yeah.
What is the average rebrand? Ladies and gentlemen, listening to this, they're like, okay, two marketing guys geeking out. I warned you, it's going to be a business-oriented show. But I think last time I read the stats, it's still an average every 5 to 7 years. Plan on doing some type of rebrand, right?
Yep. Yep, I think that's about right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's probably been 4 or 5 years for me, and especially that, we felt that, now with the book and with the podcast coming out and all of this, really tying those things in together, that they were almost separate entities to date. So now, even though I'm a direct response guy, and traditional direct response guys say don't worry about branding and all of that, I still value good design and tying everything together. So that's what we've been doing.
Okay. I want to dig deeper into that. Let's pause. For the audience who doesn't understand the difference between direct response and something else, let's help them understand that real quick. So why did you pick that niche? Why do you love direct response so much? Because I figure once you explain why you love it, everybody else will understand what it means. So,
look, to me, direct response marketing is really just small to medium business marketing. That's the way I explain it, because there's two types of marketing camps, I guess you could say. So there's direct response marketing. That's where, you spend $1 and you expect to get $1.50 or $2 or $10 back in revenue. When you write an ad, you expect someone to take a particular action. That action could be buying your product. It could be opting into your list. It could be sending back a coupon. It could be dialing a phone number, any one of those things. So when you write an ad, you expect someone to take some sort of action. And then because they take an action, you can measure those actions. So you can say, right, we ran an ad. It cost us $10,000. We had 300 people opting in. We had 20 people buy, and then we had 10 people upgrade to the next level program. So, and you can measure it, right? So we spent $10,000 and we've got $25,000 back. So that's direct response marketing in a summary. Then there's brand building, mass marketing type of marketing. And that's essentially what the big companies do, like a Nike or a Coca-Cola or an Apple.
sure.
That's billboards, that's logos, that's kind of TV ads that kind of are just all about getting people to remember their brand. So it's about brand recognition, about people sort of just trying to remember you. So, and I'm not saying one's bad or one's good. They're both good. They both good. They both work. They both have their place. But in my opinion, a small business doesn't have enough firepower to do mass marketing and brand-based marketing. They've got a small budget, they've got a smaller timeline, so they need to get a return on whatever they spend on marketing. So for a small business, up until they get to a particular stage, really it's all about direct response marketing. And even for large businesses, I mean, there are huge multi-billion-dollar businesses that are highly reliant on direct response marketing. But once you get much bigger, once your budgets are much bigger, once your timelines are much longer, then you can start putting a branding element into your marketing and really spending a lot of money on that side of things.
I love we're digging into this because I have a couple of very, very loyal fans. They're actually local here too. And they both have these, I love promoting the side hustle, right? Because there's no excuse not to become an entrepreneur these days if you're passionate about something. I think the biggest thing is we have to learn to be patient in that process so you could build something sustainable and then graduate it from the side hustle into the ability to replace your primary income. And then you can become a full-time entrepreneur if you want, or maybe you just love having side hustles and side businesses and you keep doing your employee career thing. I know people who do the same. Yep. But I loved your point earlier where you said the other direct response guys kind of laugh at you because like, oh, well, you don't need to build a brand. Well, my belief is, and as I've taught them as well, is like, guys, like you have to build your brand because I look at building two businesses as two ways. One, you're going to build it. You're going to have it forever. It is your brand. It is you. It is your lifelong company. Two, you're building a business to sell it. That's really it. I mean, that's how I look at it. I mean, it's really two ways. But in both those scenarios, you're building a brand. I mean, if someone's going to buy my company, they're buying the brand, the systems and the protocols and the processes that I built into behind the brand. But there's still a brand out there, right? So you could become the most successful direct response person out there. But then if you're not launching a podcast and you're not writing a book, how are people going to connect all that success back to you/your brand, right? So like people think, oh, well, I don't want a brand. I want my name. I'm like, that's fine. Your name is your brand. Build that brand.
Yeah.
Right?
The other thing I'll put out there is, I mean, there are massive different definitions of what a brand is, and I'll put this one on back to you, Scott. What's your definition of a brand? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, wow. There's so many different ways to define that, actually. I mean, for me, it's funny because I love giving people the history on Live the Fuel, right? So
Yep.
I looked at it back in the day and I said, well, not many people know who I am. So I said, for me, I want to grow a brand and a brand, Live the Fuel. And then as that grows and succeeds, my name will obviously come along with it. And then, for example, like fast forward to today, now I'm starting getting into more public speaking. I've become an author. I've been published in a magazine 4 times now, and I'm actually working on my first book. So I'm chasing you. So, but in the past, I'd say 3 to 4 years, as I started building the Live the Fuel brand in the beginning, I just wanted to be associated with positive, motivational, inspirational content. That's how I started. I literally activated a Facebook page, took a picture of a flame, because I'm a former firefighter, and I created Live the Fuel, and then I just started posting content on Facebook. Yep. That was it. That's how it started.
Perfect.
Where I'm at today, I mean, author, public speaker, podcast show over 2 years old. We just aired episode 229 this morning. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have a VA back then. I have VAs. I mean, so if I went back in time, that original business plan that I wrote does not fully align with what the brand has grown to today. So instead of me just defining, I want to at least give you that direct association to how Live the Fuel was. It's like, people who find my show now, they don't know where it came from. It was as simple as I just started taking action and posting stuff that I cared about. And then for me, Live the Fuel's brand, I wanted to make sure as it grew, I don't need millions of followers. I want loyal followers who care about the content that we put out. And then obviously, hopefully through the podcast and things like that, I can help them find motivational or inspirational people. In, for example, today's show, business marketing oriented, hopefully we pass on people to you. And it's like, great. I've been trying to find a direct response guy. Allan's my guy, right? Does that help, I guess, explain?
It does help. I'll give you my definition and see what you think of it. To me, a brand is the personality of a business, right? So similar to a personality of a person, it's a personality of a business. So when you think of a personality of a person, what makes that up? So it could be their name, right? So my name is Allan, right? What does that person wear? Do they, and that's kind of equivalent to like the design of a business, right? Then how does that person communicate? And again, that can be equivalent to positioning or that sort of thing. What are this person's core values, right? So again, this is around your brand promise. So who does this person or who does this brand associate with? And that's kind of like target market. Is this brand well known? Well, that's brand awareness. So whether or not you know it, you are building a brand in your business. The only thing is whether you're doing it with purpose and knowingly. So if you've got a design style guide, you're thinking about what your brand wears. If you're like in my business, we've got a design style guide, which we're revising at the moment, as I mentioned, but we've also got things like a copywriting style guide. So how do we write email newsletters to our clients? Do we write it formally? Do we have it graphic laden, or do we have it conversational? What kind of words do we use? What kind of sentence structure do we use? Do we use simple sentences, or do we go for something a bit more complex and academic? So all of these things make up the personality or brand of your business. So whether you know it or not, you're building the brand of your business. It's just whether you're doing it purposefully or not.
I like how you tied it back to the person, because behind every company or every brand, there was the founder or the original implementer. And so, yes, even though there's Live the Fuel was actually, it started off as a quote. I created one of my favorite quotes when I was firefighting, when I left the corporate world. And actually, Australia, you get it down there. So right now, California's all over the news again because there's big, dangerous wildfires.
Yes.
And I know Australia gets wildfires. I don't know if they're in your area, but I know they happen down there. So that's what I did. I left the cubicle corporate space, and I took 2 years and I served as one of the elite hotshot wildland firefighters here in the U.S. So changed my life. Obviously, fire in my logo. The reason why I use blue and white is because if you look at the intensity, if you ever, I'm geeking out, but you go back in science class and you study the universe and stars, and throughout the life cycle of a star, basically the hotter the fire burns, like white hot, blue hot, that's hotter than yellow and red and orange. So I was like, all right, I'm very intense.
Yep.
You know, I'm an adrenaline junkie. People follow my brand. Like I skydive and I'm a CrossFit guy.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Firefight. Yeah. So it's all tied together, but I had to lay all that out as you hinted. Like, okay, before I even had a style guide, like I had to pick the colors I wanted, but what were they symbolizing? So people don't think about that. I'm like, oh, why is the fire white and blue? Every once in a while I get a few people who do ask. And then as soon as I tell you, like, oh, that makes perfect sense. So, but to your point, it is me. Live the Fuel is me. Until Live the Fuel and Fuel Marketing and Fuel Agency continues to grow. And if I ever decide to grow a big team, it'll grow beyond me, but it still has me at its roots. So my psychology, my psyche is intertwined with that. So,
and it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you remember, there was an Apple ad campaign a few years ago where I'm a Mac, I'm a PC. So the I'm a Mac was this cool guy in a t-shirt, funny sort of quips and all of that. And the PC was this geeky guy in a suit and looked like Bill Gates.
I think they gave him a pocket protector at one point in one of the commercials. Yes. I can't remember.
So to me, when I think of a brand, that's what I think of. I think, okay, if your brand was a person, who would they be? Would they be the guy in the suit, all dressed up, speaking formally? Are they the guy in the t-shirt, just saying, hey, using casual language? So thinking about that.
Since you're bringing that up, it just popped in my head. I got to hear your point on this. That I get. But do you feel, and these are big names, do you feel Coca-Cola and Pepsi just got so big that they don't have to do that anymore? Because they don't Apple and Apple and PC, they still do have that separation. But I haven't drank a soda in over 15 years because it's poison. But when you look at Coca-Cola and Pepsi, I don't see that like, okay, well, maybe one company is trying to tailor themselves to the blue collar space and the other one's trying to go to the white collar space. Like, I feel like they're just so big. It's like, hey, you're either Coke or Pepsi. I don't know. Whereas,
I mean, I think they've got their own audiences, and you're either a Coke or a Pepsi person. And really, most of their marketing is focused on just making sure that you remember them and making sure that as you drive past a billboard, that it kind of either consciously or subconsciously embeds in your mind, and you get a Coke that afternoon with your lunch.
Subliminal messaging. Yeah. It doesn't work on me. Sorry. I just feel like when I think about them, I feel like Apple and even though like I have a Windows machine here and then I have 2 iPads out there, my fiance and I both have iPhones, so we have Apple devices, but I still love my Windows machine. So it's, I'm going to have PC and I have Mac. I live in both worlds. So
look, nobody's perfect, right?
Right. I got to ask, is your whole office a Mac?
Yeah, I'm pretty much all in on Apple. So
my only problem with Apple is they've made it harder for me to love them. They're getting rid of all the physical jacks and as a podcaster, the one hack in the podcast world is everybody says, go find the old MacBook Pro or the old MacBook Air that still had the dual audio jacks. And it's so much easier to jack it into a soundboard and do all the proper audio like I do here. Whereas it's easy on my Windows machine. I don't have to worry about it. But now that I've been looking at the newer devices, like, man, I feel like I would have to go back and find an old one online, like someone's like they all tell you to do, and then gut it and rebuild it to make it my studio machine. And I'm like, do I really want to do that? Like, I feel like I should be looking forward to some of the new Mac technology. So.
Yeah. No, I have to say, since, a few years after Steve died, I think that they have made a few weird decisions and things that I don't think Steve would have let through to the keeper, as they say. So, but
I'll back you up on that.
Yeah.
Even though I don't have a MacBook sitting right here right now, I still, like I said, I follow, I own stock, and I'm like, it's crazy. It's really hard. Back to your point on branding, right? This is good. Steve is one of the founding mindsets behind such a powerful company. And unfortunately, he passed on.
Mm.
So have you built your brand and your processes and your methodologies so strong to sustain? And I mean, I would have thought he did, to sustain his vision. And now we're seeing that. Are they sustaining it? Are they moving too far away? I don't know. Is the company big enough now where it's not just about Steve and what he had created? I don't.
Yeah, look, it's obviously bigger, even when he was alive, it was bigger than he was, but he was obviously a very driving influence. He was the one who just vetoed a decision clearly. Like there are things we see now that there's no way that would have gone through, when Steve was alive, but definitely.
I feel like they take different risks now.
Yeah.
I guess without him at the helm.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Either way, they're still an edgy company. They're still doing. I mean, that's one thing. They're staying true to their brand, right? They're coming out with stuff that you just never would have fathomed. It's like, did not even see that coming. So they're still doing that. They're staying true to that brand. So I'm still happy with them.
Yeah.
But I'll still live in both worlds. I have to, especially when I got clients who are in Windows and some are in Mac. And not everybody's like my biggest client. They're all Mac. And then my second biggest client, they're all Windows. So I have to live in both worlds.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's starting to blend to where it's almost not that much difference. It used to be a world of difference, but now...
The fact you can run dual operating systems now, that is pretty cool. So, again, the listeners are hearing this, and some of these people might not be as geeky as I am. And that's right. I'm getting Allan down the geek route. So yes, you can run double operating systems, meaning you can run Windows and Mac technology on the same machine. That never would have been fathomed 10 years ago.
Yes.
So it is cool to see the advancements. So I got to ask you then, when you relaunched the podcast, whole new concept, like completely new name of it? Like, what are you thinking?
Not new name. So I recorded a few episodes, and before I went live, I scrapped it. I said, no, this is like a Me Too podcast, like everybody else. This the standard interview format. So I've totally changed it. I'm currently working on the new one right now. It's going to be more of a narrative style podcast, similar to. I took inspiration from Reid Hoffman's podcast. I really liked what he did. Yeah, so that was really good. And there's a few others that I think did that concept well. I think it's good. It also doesn't rely too much on guests showing up. You can grab clips from YouTube or from other guests you've interviewed and work on a particular topic. So I did like that format. So I'm working on something not quite the same, but similar and slightly shorter. I didn't want it to be very, very long format as well. So I wanted it to be really punchy.
That's true. I'm definitely a long format show.
Yeah, that's fine. I love
not as long as Joe Rogan. That guy's really long.
Yeah, or Tim Ferriss. Yeah, they can be a couple of hours long.
Yeah, I think I have had two. I think I have at least two shows that were over 2 hours.
Wow.
And it just started happening, so I just went with it, and that we just had the time and the flexibility to do that. But I really try and keep them around that 1 hour mark or less. But the good thing is, like, you're doing it right now. What the audience is hearing is that you have a brand within a brand. The podcast still has to align with what you're bringing to the table and what you care about and what you're going to feel comfortable putting forth. I have people ask me all the time about launching a podcast. Like, number one, I'm not a podcast coach. I'll give you my best practices and I'll tell you what I think. But in the end, it has to align with what you want. And you have to look forward to doing it every day. Just like running a business, right?
Exactly. And, like you say, it's got to align with your brand. Some brands, the long format works really well, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. For me, I'm the one-page marketing plan guy. I'm the clarity in a short, simple framework in a small amount of time. So I want the podcast to align with that. I want it to be full of value, fast-moving, short space of time. So that's what I'm going with.
Well, and again, even though the book is titled The One-Page Marketing Plan, like, how many pages are actually in the book?
I think it's about 225 or something like that. Yeah.
So let's be real. I mean, there is more to be had in this book, ladies and gentlemen, just one page.
Yes.
That'd be hilarious if a publisher would ever actually print a single page book.
A lot of people ask, is it one page? And I say, the plan is one page. The book is not one page.
I feel like you should sell it as like a stone tablet then. It's been etched in stone. But marketing cannot be etched in stone. It's constantly morphing. It's constantly changing. I mean, for example, like, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to successwise.com, by the way, I was reading your blog earlier today because loved the article on stupid marketing strategies. First of all, great article title. I mean, why beat around the bush? Just call it as it is, as you see it.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
And then there was also, is word of mouth marketing slowing your business growth? So that was an interesting article, by the way. Where did that one stem from you? Like, why did you feel the passion to get that one out there?
Yeah, because a lot, I've asked a lot of business owners what their main source of leads are, and very often they'll say, "Oh, it's just word of mouth," and word of mouth is awesome. Word of mouth is
It's
kind
free.
of like it's free. It's like a free kick or a free lunch. We all love it, right? It's awesome. We'll take that every time, but it's not necessarily a reliable source of leads. At least not the way that many people do word of mouth marketing. I mean, there are more reliable ways of doing it, and I cover that in a chapter of my book. I call it orchestrating and stimulating referrals. So it implies something active. But that aside, a lot of people just kind of sit and hope and pray for new leads and new referrals to come into their business. And, that's not a reliable way, especially if you're an earlier stage business. I mean, if you're a mature business, you've had many hundreds or thousands of clients, and you will get naturally a larger amount of word of mouth lead flow, especially if you've do a good job and you've kept people happy. But it's not a super reliable way of getting leads. Like, I don't know that 5 word of mouth referrals will come in tomorrow, right? But if I
was to say, it goes back to what you explained earlier. You basically outlined a sales funnel. How you were talking about, hey, direct response marketing. You spend 10,000, you expect this, you get this. It's the same thing. Like, okay, you went to an old fashioned networking event.
Yep.
Here we call them chamber of commerces or whatever, which I don't do anymore. But you talk to 10 people and you force 10 business cards on them, which I can't stand either. And that's not marketing. And that's not even proper networking. Let's be real. You're looking to make real connections.
Yes.
And that's a very slow process. That's just why you need marketing.
Exactly right. That is exactly right.
So I do agree with you. The word of mouth is powerful. And you can't beat the quality of the lead because it came from a significant friend, family member, coworker, etc. But I'm dealing with that right now. We had a new concrete patio poured behind our house, and it came from a word of mouth referral. I am now taking that person to court because they destroyed our property to build the said patio, and then considered the yard damage next to it not their fault. But they while we were not home, they drove a full size. You ever see a giant concrete truck with a spinning barrel in the back?
Yes.
They drove that across my yard.
Goodness.
I was like, and you didn't think that would destroy the property. And you consider that in your contract, normal wear and tear.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So that ties me back also to, from firefighting, I have the words tattooed on my ribs. Our hotshot creed was duty, respect, and integrity.
Yep.
I pass that through everything I do. I love it. That thought process never leaves my mind. I don't care if you're a small business or a corporation. I'm interested to see your opinion on that because of everything we're talking about, like literally right now. Especially if you expect to have quality word of mouth and everything else. I mean, that's what these guys don't know. I'm like, guys, like I'm an online marketing guy. Like, I could destroy you with a keystroke. And my fiance literally told me, she's like, you have to behave. Let our lawyer handle it. She's like, no. Like I was so tempted to, Alan. I was so tempted.
It is tempting. Yeah, I know what you mean. But
then I did feel a little guilty. I'm like, you know what? No, duty, respect, integrity. Let's see what these guys do. Maybe they'll come through in the very end and just walk away. Because
and it really just comes down to your core values. I mean, your core values as a person, your core values as a business brand as well. So, like you say, you can destroy them with a keystroke, as can many other people to you and I. So if we don't treat our audience with respect, and we don't treat our audience right, I mean, the last thing we want to do is end up on these scam review sites and things like that. I mean, even if
Especially
what
in
they
your
say,
world, yes, because you're direct
yeah,
response. So
yeah,
wow.
yeah, and even if what they say is untrue and unjustified, and you're 100% right, I mean, Google keeps these things forever. That's it. You know, your reputation it can be trashed forever by someone who's just disgruntled, doesn't know what they're doing, or whatever. So we really need to take a lot of care around our reputations and treating our audience and our clients in a very good way.
I'm a believer in that old philosophy too. I mean, there's many different ways of saying it, but the long story short is, I mean, do unto others, that whole thing. Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, is like, okay, the project was only $2,500 US. We paid you more than half upfront.
Yep.
You still want the other half, but I got to spend almost that much with another company to properly fix it because you didn't fix it. Yep. So I offered to pay you the difference after I paid that person to fix what you messed up. And they still don't think that's good enough. I was like, I don't have to pay you a dime. I could just take you to court and get you to refund the entire amount because I have a good lawyer.
Yep.
I don't want to do that. I said, listen, we thought it'd be very fair.
Yep.
Just give you the difference. Because I have I photographed everything. I videoed everything. Like, you really think I don't have the evidence? And the owners of the business have never stepped foot on the property.
Yeah, wow.
I was like, guys.
Some business owners just don't think long-term. They think just very transactional.
I care about small businesses. I'm like, guys, like, and I found out the two owners, like, both have full-time jobs. I was like, you started this business as a side hustle. You're employing other people to do your business in your name. If a mistake is made, you need to go show up on that property and give that customer FaceTime. If you're a blue collar contractor business, like a landscaping company, that's just my business 101 tip.
Yeah.
You're not an online business.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
The only place they exist online is Facebook. They don't even have a website, I found out. So that's why I said, like, with a couple keystrokes, I could have more stuff online than they do about them, but I'm not. But it's like, guys, like, I could have sent you. I'm a connector. I could have sent you so much business from the good old fashioned word of mouth for years to come. Because I'm old school that way. Like, when I meet an amazing business, they did such a good job on that patio. The concrete is beautiful. Yeah. But they're a landscaping company and they destroyed the landscape. It's like, I can't overlook the giant ruts and pits from a 30,000 pound truck slicing through my property. I don't. Do you see my frustration, Allan?
I very much see your frustration.
Like, because here's the frustration for me. I'm like you. I care about business, and I want to help people's brands grow. And I have to sit here and bite my tongue because they don't know what I do. And I'm like, I could show you so many ways to not do it this way and help you grow your business, but I can't because you're idiots.
Well, the other side of the coin is some people just shouldn't be in business. And I've seen that many times. Some people would just be better off with a job working for somebody else, being told what to do.
And every contractor that came onto my property after them, they said, these guys don't deserve to be in business. I never would have let the property look this way. He's like, how do these people do what they do? And I said, so just to your said, like, everybody who has looked at this since then, they've all said the same thing. They're like, these guys should just close their doors. This is not how you run a business. So. But again, maybe they shouldn't be going off of word of mouth anymore either, because they're not going to get anything good out of me. And the guy who referred them to me, he owns the gym that I work out in, and I showed him the photos, and he's like, "Oof, I don't know." So now his vision of their how they do business is now in question too, right? Yeah. Because we're all interconnected. So reputation's everything.
It is everything. It is everything. I fully
That's
agree.
why I loved you. I love the fact that you really stressed that just now about every email you send, every phone call you take, every text you send. This is your messaging. You got to take it seriously. And we all make mistakes, right? I mean, have you ever had to do I don't know what you want to call it, a cleanup campaign or oops, my bad, this is what we meant type of thing?
Yep. I haven't, but I know what you mean. I've seen it. And I know what you mean. But it's very important that not only you, but your whole team understand your values. So that your team are not signing you up for things that you're not happy with, or not delivering the kind of customer service that you're not happy with. Like, my team know that when a customer has a problem, we need to take care of it, right? So we need to make sure that they're happy. We need to make sure that, we're, even if, and this is the bit that a lot of business owners don't understand. Even if the customer is not doing things right, it's our responsibility to help them do the right thing. It's
sometimes you have to coach the customer through the process.
Exactly. Because a lot of business owners think, okay, I've sold my fitness course to the customers, but your responsibility is that they get a result from that. So it's not just about selling the course. It's your responsibility is that they get a result from the course that you sell. So
you just dropped a huge bomb there. If anybody listening to this has ever considered direct response marketing, he just gave you the extra step that most campaigns don't teach right there. I mean, I don't know if you stress a lot of this, but this is something I see time and time again. Oh, I got them in my sales funnel. They've already bought the program. It's not my fault if they don't ever log into the website and use the program. I've already sold my stuff. I'm like, but the whole reason why you're selling this stuff is to help people, right? Isn't that your purpose? Or is it just to make money? I think this goes back to
and you won't make money for long because, like I said, maybe it's no fault of your own. Maybe you've done everything right. You've sold them the stuff. You've given them the login. You've given them the information, and they haven't gone and done and got the result. They're still going to, in their mind, they didn't get a result from you, and that's something that is on you. And I think it really is. I mean, these days with the tools and technology that we have at our disposal, the onboarding tools that we have, there's really there's no call for you not being able to deliver a world-class experience to your customer, where your customer can get a result, where you've done absolutely everything you can. And that might be a personal onboarding experience. That might be through help desk software. That might be through one-on-one videos.
There's nothing wrong with automating your processes as long as you have all of the necessary steps in place to your point. Following up to remind them, like, okay, great, you bought the program. So within 24 to 40 hours, you want to remind them, hey, have you logged in yet? Have you checked it out yet? If you have any problems, give them an opportunity to interact with you. And some people get busy and they might not get to it for a week. But it still doesn't mean okay, well, I've already done a week's worth of follow-ups, I'm good. But I'd be running a log report of my training program, for example, saying, okay, well, what is the percentage of take rate? How many people have logged in? How many have actually made it past chapter 1? Okay, what can I do to do something better? Because these are your word of mouths. These are the people that are then going to say, hey, I'm already in that program. It's great, right? Because you want testimonials.
Exactly.
That's testimonials.
Exactly. I recently hired onto my team a role I called the director of customer success, and literally it's an expense. But literally her role is to make sure that customers are using the membership product. They're using it. They know that all the features that are available, even though they've been onboarded, that they're using it, that they're getting a result for their business, and that is her role to make sure that happens. And her role is to personally touch base with each member via email or via phone, whatever it takes, to make sure that we're helping customers get a result. So that's what that's an example in my business. I mean, in other businesses, there are many similar examples, but it's about making your support proactive rather than reactive. A lot of people wait for a ticket or a complaint or something to come to them. This is about being a bit more proactive and going to the customer saying, hey, Scott, I noticed you signed up for the membership last month. You haven't logged in. Is there a problem? Can I help you? Should we get on a one-on-one call and see how you can use the membership more effectively?
You're preaching to the choir. Again, you're just dropping nuggets of knowledge here for the listeners, because again, I think this applies to anything in life. Is if you're living a life that's reactive, you're going to constantly have problems the rest of your life. This is tied to relationships, love, romance, like everything. Like if you might want to just pause and think about something like, well, what can I do to be proactive on this situation? Or you're just waiting for the train wreck. I mean, if you have an opportunity to step in and just try and help it along the path, that's huge. And you're talking about the membership thing. So are you referring to your inner circle that I saw on your site?
No, so the inner circle's the subscription to my my mailing list. Okay. I've got a membership called Marketing and Business Academy.
Okay. Just real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the blog section of the site, that's where I found it. It's right below the book link where you can score the book as well, but join the inner circle. So, so sorry, go ahead. You were saying about the membership thing.
Yeah, it's called Marketing and Business Academy, and so that's where we go deep into implementing marketing in our businesses, and we do monthly live trainings, and there's a one-on-one component there as well, and it's where I release a lot of my premium content.
Nice. Now, is that something that's directly linked from the main site?
It's not currently directly linked because I do like an evergreen launch, but if you go successwise/membership, you'll see the sales page there.
And so is this something that's still open in case small businesses are hearing this?
It opens and closes. So we have a cycle where we take an intake of new members and then we close it up.
So if people subscribe to your inner circle, they'll be notified next time that they
will.
Oh, there you go. So there's your action item, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Put your email in the inner circle, hang tight. And especially if you're a small business person, like it can't hurt to get a few more tips and tricks, and then obviously eventually get into the premium content too.
Yeah.
So no, this is good because again, I love the fact I use this. You'll appreciate this. I use this in my show all the time that if I'm talking to a nutrition person or a scientist or an author, or it doesn't matter, the one big takeaway I want the audience always to hear, and we are coming to the end of the show because I'm going to give you the final words, but we are all just at a different place in the timeline. That's just something that I've started using over the past few months, and I can't get it out of my head because it is so clean and simple. Maybe not as clean as your one-page marketing plan, but like this, I tell you, like whether you're considering to register your business name as an LLC here in the USA, a limited liability corporation. I don't know what you guys call them down in Australia, but or you're just thinking about turning on that first Facebook page, and you're going to stick a picture of a fire on there and call it "Live the Fuel," and then post your first motivational post. Or it's 2 years later, you're running you're writing a book and you're running a over 2-year-old podcast show. Whatever. The point is, we're just all at a different place on a timeline, and we just got to catch up and just keep putting in the reps. So, and your content's definitely going to help people with that. I do love this. So, you have a countdown on here too. Okay, that's for a new offer you got going on there. So
so we close it and reopen it on a 6 week basis. So that way we get an intake of new members. We can concentrate on getting them onboarded, getting them going, and then we reopen it down the track as well.
Well, I mean, Allan, I love it. I appreciate you giving us all the time you did today from down in Australia. So I will never try your accent because any continental U.S. American who tries to fake an Aussie accent, it's just rude. We don't do it well at all. So
no, I appreciate that. It was a pleasure being on your show, Scott. You're a font of wisdom as well. And
I gotta ask you because I know you've done such a good job of narrowing down to that one-page marketing plan. So I always have my guest co-host close the show out with some final words. It could be an all-encompassing message, maybe, again, going back to that purpose behind everything you're doing. Yep. But it's just something that if they forget everything else you shared today, which again, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry about it. We transcribe the notes and get them all into the blog content, so you're not missing some of the big nuggets and knowledge. But is there a message you want to leave behind to the audience, Allan, today that kind of is
absolutely
behind everything you're doing?
Absolutely. So, it ties into to what we started the show with, but it's the best marketer wins every time. And, a lot of the time we concentrate on delivering a great product or a great service, and that's awesome. But that's a customer retention tool, right? So like we talked about, having a good product, good service, customer retention. Before we think about customer retention, we've got to think about customer acquisition, right? Because people only know how good you are once they've bought from you. Before they've bought from you, they only know how good your marketing is. So the best marketer wins every time. So resolve to become a great marketer.
I do love that. And I'm a very competitive person, so I like the winning component on there too. Well, listen, hang tight. I want to give you a proper goodbye off of the air. Ladies and gentlemen, successwise.com. Get on there, check it out. We already hinted at you towards the end of the show here. Get on the email list because that's where you can keep in touch with that, his little VIP program that he's got going on, the membership group. But obviously, if you're trying to simplify your marketing, seriously, check out the book, the one-page marketing plan. I'll have it linked in the show notes so you guys can just click and get to it. But again, thanks for tuning into another amazing Live the Fuel show. Allan did not hold back, and he dropped some serious bombs today. I want you guys to all go back and listen to this a second time, or just go to the the podcast blog note and just take note of everything I have linked in there, because I'm going to put it all in there. I love the little bombs you dropped today. So again, thanks for tuning into another Live the Fuel show. We're here to fuel your health, your business, your lifestyle. We crush it on the business component today. Let's make marketing easier for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're here to fuel your health, your business, your lifestyle. And again, Allan and successwise.com. Check them out. I'll talk to you guys again soon. And you're free of the pod. I just leave the video on for extra fun for YouTube. So
cool.
I hope you had some fun.
I did. It was good speaking to you, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I don't always geek out this heavy with a lot of, well, actually, no. When it comes to marketing, guys, yeah, I like to geek out. So, I can't always be the health and fitness nut all the time. So
yeah, good. Yeah.
But no, your messaging is great. I love what you're doing down there.
Thank you.
I do try and I know a lot of podcasters. I've spoken at podcast conferences, so I definitely will try and keep you in mind. Is there anybody specific that you're looking for, or just other business-oriented podcasts you're trying to get on more?
Business-oriented podcasts, people who've got a small to medium business audience, that they're my ideal market. So
I've got a couple guys already in the back of my head, so I'll make sure I take note of them for you. And then I'll just email back the person who emailed me when they set this all up. So
yep.
Was there anything else I can do for you?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, if I could grab a recording, I won't release it, just for our own archives, if you don't mind.
Like the audio track, or
no, the video. If you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Well, once it processes, Zoom does its thing.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Zoom will process it, and then I've had people ask that before, and I have a share drive I've set up on Google, so I just send a link to the files once we're on there. So I'll take note of that for you as well. Just the video file?
Yeah, just a video file. That'll be perfect.
You got it.
Thank you, Scott. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Well, and let me know how the podcast launch goes. I'm excited.
I will. We must keep in touch.
Yeah, it sounds like you're going to have much more of a confidence behind this relaunch.
I think so. Yeah.
And good call. Trusting your gut. If it didn't feel right,
yes,
move on. So
exactly.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Well, you enjoy the day. Take care.
You too. Bye.